Hey YouTube, what's up? It is me, Jonathan here, Normal Guy Investing, and we are currently going to go over a pretty controversial topic, in my opinion. It's going after, well, it's not going after, anything, but I disclosed yesterday that I was a big holder of 3M. Not a big holder, but I have about like 3 to 4% of my portfolio in 3M, which is a pretty good size position actually, but definitely what definitely has been interesting over the past, I would say, a couple months has been this 3M can't use bankruptcy to halt lawsuits over combat earplugs judge rules. Now, my personal opinion about this opinion, you'll definitely see my take on this. um, it is we definitely need to go out of our way to protect our U.S. veterans. That's not what I'm saying in this video, but I think we might be going off after the wrong entity in 3M, just because 3M is, it's a big um, industrial conglomerate, of course. I mean, it's known for making its Scotch tape, so it's like one of those types of companies. It's a big, provider, though. Like, I mean, it employs, I think, 95,000 employees. Let's look here real quick. 95,000. Yep. See, 95,000 employees. It's a big provider in the U.S. economy, and if a company like this would declare bankruptcy, it would be terrible for the U.S. economy. But it's actually not 3M that would be declaring bankruptcy. It is, I think it's called Aero Technologies. Yeah, right here it says Aero Technologies of selling faulty combat earplugs that damaged the hearing of veterans who used them. So yeah, it's the Aero Technologies, which is a entity of 3M, which of course 3M is the parent company, and Aero Technologies was acquired back in, I think it was 2008. So yeah, this is going to be a pretty interesting case, I think, for the most part. The ruling means 3M now faces the prospect of jury verdicts from around the country, with one expert hired by soldiers law firms estimating the company could face more than $100 billion in damages from the claims. Now, I think this is a little bit too far-fetched, in my opinion, because we'll go into this later on, but I think the max that they should probably face would be a $5 billion I would settle this out of court personally, because $100 billion in damages is outrageously amount of money, especially considering like 3M, their market cap is $70 billion. So if they would sell the entire company, they wouldn't even make up the amount for this. This is ridiculous. This is a little absurd, but let's continue. Advocates for veterans said the ruling vindicates their view that profitable companies should not be allowed to use bankruptcy court to avoid lawsuits. Absolutely. I don't think 3M should avoid paying these veterans. Absolutely not. I don't think they should pay $100 billion in damages from the claims, but maybe $5 billion seems a little bit more reasonable, because let's be honest, $100 billion, if you want to go after a company for $100 billion, you're not going to get it, even from a company like Apple. That's outrageous. $100 billion, Apple doesn't even make that in a year most times. I mean, they recently did, but not in years past. This is a tremendous victory for 230,000 U.S. veterans who have been who have been harmed by the 3M deception and greed. Brian Allstott, he's one of the main lawyers in this. He's an attorney. We look forward to prosecuting our claims against 3M. So, of course, this Brian Allstott is looking forward to making, of course, like when a lawyer goes into court and, he's directly monetarily incentivized to go after big corporations like a 3M. So, of course, he's going to be looking forward to doing something like this. Now, I'm not saying Brian Allstott is a bad person. I'm just saying, like, yeah, of course, that he wants to get justice for these military personnel, but I think we're probably going after the wrong entity, expecting $100 billion in damages from a company like 3M. Let's go into the next article. So this is 3M faces potentially billions in liabilities over $7.63 earplugs. Let's say, for example, a company like 3M is doing $7.63. Let's say, for example, I know their profit margin is about 15%. Their bottom line margin is 15%. Their top margin is probably about 40-50%. But let's say they make, from net income after taxes, after everything, this is their profit margin is about 15%. Let's say they make $1.50 per earplug. So $1.50, and let's say they sell 1,000 of these earplugs, and there's, say, 250,000 U.S. members now. That's $375 million. Do I think they should be viable for this $375 million? No, absolutely not. Even if you go into 7.63 times 1,000 times 250,000, that's $1.9 billion in revenue that these earplugs have produced. And I'm probably being a little bit too fair for the, I'm not being too fair for the company because, 1,000, okay, we're going a little too far here. Let's be honest here. There are currently around 107,000 active, this is only of June 26th, but there's about 230,000 people that are directly affected by this. In July 2018, 3M agreed to pay $9.1 million to the U.S. government to resolve allegations that it knowingly sold earplugs to the military without disclosing defects. 3M denied any wrongdoing or liability. So they basically said, "Oh, we didn't know the earplugs were, directly correlated to this. They just sold them just because, just to make money off of them." Of course, 3M did that. My personal opinion, I think they should settle out of court, maybe $20,000 per plaintiff. That would be perfectly fine. That would, I'll go into the numbers later. The market share. The master complaints states that 3M has a dominant market share in virtually every safety product market, including hearing protection devices. Defendant 3M is one of the largest companies in the United States. 3M's net income in 2018 was a whopping $5.3 billion, with outstanding revenue of $32.7 billion. So a lot of people are thinking, well, 3M can afford a $100 billion lawsuit. I don't think so, personally, but that's what these people are claiming, is 3M could probably afford that. So again, let's go into 3M. Their market cap is $73 billion. They could sell all their common stock and liquidate the entire company, and they wouldn't be able to pay that $100 billion. So yeah, pipe dreams are nice, and I definitely think something should be done, but this statement is outrageous. We'll go further into, other stuff. Now, an entity that I think that should definitely be held accountable would be the U.S. government, because let's be honest, I'll take this in a factor. So, by the way, the purple is basically, less than $100 billion. $100 billion, and this orange one is, us, the United States. We do close to almost $800 billion. We do $778 billion every single year in military expenditures every single year. Just with the servicemen alone, so 250,000 times, let's say they each made $30,000. I'm just saying they were like E2s basically. That's $7.5 billion every single year from these military personnel. If you want to go after any entity, go after the U.S. government, because they can easily pay for this. Let's be honest. Alrighty, let's go into this article. So there were a total of 1.2 million active duty military and more than almost 800,000 reserve forces, according to September 2021 data from the Department of Defense. So, in my opinion, if you want to go after any entity, not a company, go after the U.S. government, because they'll be easily able to pay $100 billion in like damages of certain things, especially when you always say you get what you pay for. When you're spending only $7.63 per earplug for military personnel, and you expect that's going to protect the servicemen and women's ear plug, like their hearing, you're outrageously naive. If you want to protect any, your U.S. military personnel, you need to be spending more than $7.63 per earplug, because like I said, they probably made $1.50 per earplug. If you want to go after any entity, U.S. servicemen and women, don't be going after a company like 3M that produced $8 earplugs. Be going after an entity like the U.S. government that paid $8 for earplugs to help protect you. Be going after them. Be going after the government, because if you actually want protective earplugs, you have to spend a lot more money on earplugs. Earplugs for combat, or combat earplugs. So like, this is what you guys were buying. These little dinky little things. Like, let's be honest. These are not going to be protecting you from, gunshots. They're tiny. How are you supposed to be protected for things like gunfire and stuff like that from these defenseless little earplugs? Let's see. Combat earplugs. Now, again, like, we see all these other earplugs. Let's be honest. Here's $300, $100. The U.S. government is more than available to pay for earplugs like these, and I'm surprised that they didn't. It's kind of surprising. If they actually cared about what was, about their U.S. men and women that serve in the military, they would pay more than, like, again, like, you see these $14 earplugs and you're like, okay. Or you can get like these earplugs that, basically you wouldn't be able to hear anything outside of, like, you can't hear a gunshot with these types of earplugs. So yeah, you shouldn't be spending only, like, again, $8 for earplugs. You probably should be spending more than just $8 for earplugs. So again, 2 million people. Now, what's funny about this? That's $7.5 million or $billion for the current people that are prosecuting 3M. That's how much money they made in income, approximately, just about $7.5 billion. So that was 1.2 million plus 800,000. Let's just say 1.2 million, just to be a little bit more fair for the U.S. government. 1.2 million times 30,000 is $36 billion. Now, if you guys do remember, that was less than, or that is more than $32 billion. Oh, how funny. Interesting how the government contracts $36 billion a year for U.S. personnel, but only and 3M only made $32 billion back in 2018 of their entire revenue. And you want to go after a company like 3M, you should probably be going after the U.S. government for not paying more money for earplugs. That's who you probably should be going after, not 3M. So that's my personal opinion. Yeah. Again, please give a like if you agree, subscribe, and comment if you want to post your comments. Yeah, hope to see you guys again. Thank you.